something quite extraordinary has happened. I have been set on my wild camping setup for some time. Immovable, unchangeable, I've loved everything about it. Let me take you back to one cold, bleak March evening. I'm alone, I'm browsing on the internet, and suddenly I come across the Bushman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm bringing you here a world exclusive. Never has it been seen. A side-by-side of a Snugpak Ionosphere with a Bushman core lodger. Like a rose between two thorns, I sit. I also appreciate it's a world exclusive that no one has ever wanted to see. But I thought it might be quite useful for anyone that was eyeing up these two tents, which is probably, again, highly unlikely, but nonetheless. The one thing that this tent loses out by some mark compared to this guy, the Ionosphere, is the name. Bushman Core Lodger Tent. I mean, come on Bushmen, just a bit snappier on the name. Maybe I'll throw it out there to the world. Like, think of a better name for this tent. I think I might do it for my next outing, but here you go. You can see the size difference, and that's really the only reason why I wanted to do this little bit. This is a tent and a company that caught me completely off guard. I'd never heard of Bushman travel gear. I'd never heard of the tent. I'd never seen the tent online. There was no YouTube videos that I'd come across. Absolutely nothing. When I saw it, I kind of thought, I think I might like that. And I bought it, and I've been absolutely amazed with it. A little bit about the company. So from what I can gather, they're a Polish company established in 2010. And there's some lovely evocative story about, pioneering histories and how that inspired them to make effectively tarps, hammocks, and accessories for wild camping. I picked this up for £150, and I'm going to show you why I think it's my favourite setup of all time. Okay, just wanted to spin you through what's in the pack as standard. So obviously you get your stuff sack. You get one set of aluminium poles, which kind of just do their own thing. They're magnetic, so they connect really easy with no bother, and feel remarkably strong actually. Don't feel too flimsy, which is usually the case with this sort of price range of tent. These, on the other hand, are really flimsy, and they're kind of your very generic standard tent peg. These would probably be okay for like one use, maybe two use, but this is typically what happens, and there's nothing more frustrating. If you're going camping for the first time, or you're going to be going camping quite regularly, I'd highly recommend just buying a set of nice tent pegs. Like, they're worth their weight in gold, not too expensive, and they'll last a lifetime. I'll drop some links in the description just to some that I use, and I usually carry those, like a set of tent pegs for any tent that I use. I'm just showing you these because obviously it's the standard for this tent, and obviously the tent itself. It obviously takes no time at all to set up. It's 2 aluminium poles and the inner mesh. I know it doesn't come with an outer fly, which I don't think is too much of an issue, and I'll explain why in a bit. I actually think it's a positive. I think there's loads more configurations you can do. But what blew me away the most was it was as if the builders of this tent looked at the Snugpak Ionosphere, which I adore, and were like, right, what are the things that Tom is missing? Like, that's how personalised I feel this tent is for me, and the things that I missed within the Snugpak. Yes, it's higher. It's definitely taller. I think it's 0.6 metres high, 2.5 in length, and I can't remember what it is in width. I think it's 1.5. I'll put the measurements up on the screen now. But look at this main entrance that you have here. Look at that. It's just awesome. In the Snugpak, you fight to get in, you know, the only one entrance. And this is just beautiful. I've got so much space to actually, at this end, sit up, which is amazing. Loads of room to lie down. And the visibility, if it's dry and you just have this in a mesh, like, you're just in the elements. It's amazing. What makes it more amazing is there's two entrances. So there's this giant door here. I know I'm getting excited about this, I'm sorry. I'm just incredibly sad. So let me just fight to get this secured. What's really awesome about this, and I'll bring the camera around so you can see inside, it perfectly suits different tarp configurations. This is great if you have the basic A-frame, or, you know, they have loads of different names, right, these configurations it seems, but pretty much anything that's coming out from this angle over the tarp, which blocks off the side door, you've got a huge entrance here to come out in. And likewise, if you have any kind of tarp configuration that comes from the back here and comes over, you know, you can use the side entrance there and have a nice fire or whatever. Like, there's just so many options that you can do. But yeah, let me show you inside. Okay, so again, this is the head end, I guess, where I've got a lot of headroom. So I'm 6 foot, can comfortably sit up at this point of the tent, and backwards to about here, it starts getting a bit tight. So inside, and before we do that, I know what some of you are thinking. Like, Tom, you're always in greens and browns and earthy colours, until, ladies and gentlemen, you get to the socks. Always have colourful socks. Okay, so inside the tent, we have pockets at either end. So these pockets you get at the head end, and there's 2 of them, one on either side. If I just bring the camera up here, so it opens out, so this whole front section here is a pocket, and then the back here comes away from the tent. So it's pretty flimsy, but actually what I found is that I stuff stuff behind this section here, so whether that's a small bag, water bottles, like whatever it is, so that bit comes in handy, I just think, for keeping stuff in the tent a little bit neater. As I do my boots back up from showing the world my colourful socks, there is one thing to consider, is that although this weighs only 1.2 kilograms, well, I say only, it's quite a lot in the gram counting world, which I'll double check, by the way, because I think it weighs less than that. But regardless, depending on what you carry as your configuration with it, it's either going to be a lot heavier or a lot lighter. For instance, for this, I usually carry just a bog standard 3x3 tarp, sometimes even heavier, if I know I'm going to be there for a long time. You've got your poles, tent poles or trekking poles. If you set your tent up with those, which I usually carry with me because it just gives me more options depending on where, if I don't know where I'm going and I know there might not be any trees for ridge lines, etc., always carry the pole. So that can lift it. If you haven't got ultralight poles, ultralight tarps, you know, which costs, again factor in the cost, that could be another 100, 200, 300 pounds depending on what you're willing to spend. It cost me probably £30 for the tarp and probably about 30 for the poles as well. So depending on your kind of sway, you can factor that into the cost, or if you're just going to use this as a summer tent and just the inner mesh, you know, it's the cost of the tent and nothing else. If you're going to be using it in other seasons, which I do, then factor in the cost of the tarp and factor in the cost of the poles potentially as well. So, but yeah, it's actually starting to rain now, so I'm going to throw the tarp up over it just so you can get a look at what the whole setup looks like. Turns out it didn't rain. Did the classic British thing of threatening to and then actually not, and it probably will. Now I've got the camera out again. But anyway, I threw the tarp up, which I also don't have enough pegs for, so you're not getting a 360 of the of the perfect tarp setup. So I can set up tarps, I promise. So this is just your basic A-frame over the top, and I've got, yeah, with a 3x3, plenty of space at the front here for a vestibule, and at the back if I needed to. And obviously you can do a flying A-frame to give you more vestibule space at the sides if you wanted to. Obviously you're losing the a bit of a protection to the elements, but yeah, here it is. And this, by the way, DD Hammocks is the Coyote Brown tarp, which not for me. I really didn't like the colour when I got it, but I've stuck with it anyway. But let me know if you like it or not. It's just starting to rain, so I'm going to pack things down now. But yeah, here is the tent and the tarp configuration. Of course I'm going to recommend this tent because it's my favourite setup that I've found yet. And I'm really keen to hear from you if there's anything better in terms of this sort of bivvy style tent and the tarp configuration, because this is the configuration that I love the most. Now, when you factor in the fact, poles, tarp, tent, you know, like I said before, you could be looking at £300-400. For me, this is in the £200 category. So what have you got in there? You know, you've got the ever famous Nature Hike Cloud Peak 2, stuff like that. The range of the Van Goghs. There's multiple other tents in that category which I'm fully aware of. But for the multiple configurations I can do with this setup, I personally just love it. And that's really all there is to it. Like, I know there's probably better, I know there's probably a lot worse, but this is my style. Like, I absolutely love it. I adore this tent for the access, for the visibility. I can sit up in it. I have loads of room at the sides. I have loads of headroom, loads of room at my feet. So for me, it's, for now at least, until I stumble across another hidden gem, the winner for me. So yeah, do let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you back next time for another tent review.